You've got Harry Kane.
No, we've linked him.
Yes, shut up. And we've got Erling Haaland as well.
You blamed that.
The latest, of course, Abramovich apparently is going to go big on Haaland. Out of the three, is it most likely that Haaland would make the move?
I don't think so. I mean, we've said it before. We know that Chelsea as a club, and whether that's Peter Cech or Marina Granovskaya, I've spoken to Mino Raiola and to Alfie Haaland, and they know that this interest is concrete, that Chelsea are really keen on Erling Haaland. The thing is, in a year's time, we've explained many times on the show, there's this release clause for 75 million euros that will kick off. Borussia Dortmund saying, until next year, he's staying with us. We don't care about how much you can offer. He's not going anywhere right now. If you're Chelsea and if you have 150 million, tempt them. Go and put that money on the table and see what they do. They might reject it.
Yeah.
Haaland might put pressure to go and to leave and come to Chelsea, or maybe you might get the players. And why would you wait if you want him now? And if you can get him now, why would you wait next season? Where you can get him for half the price, but then you know that many other clubs will be after him, and it'll be far harder for you to get him. So if you're Chelsea and you really have that money, you've already started talking to his camp. Go for it and make that big offer on the table and see what Borussia Dortmund do.
Should we talk about a deal that's actually been done, Craig? You like those?
Not really.
Tough. Well, that's what we're going to do now. Donnarumma is a PSG player, the player of Euro 2020, making that switch from Italy to France. Of course, at only 22 years of age, an exceptional CV, and what potential he brings to the club as well. You take a look then at this PSG starting 11. Donnarumma will come in to replace Keylor Navas. Hakimi, of course, a new signing. Marquinhos will be partnered by Sergio Ramos now at the back. And then you got Bernat, Verratti, Paredes, Wijnaldum, Di Maria, Neymar, and Mbappe. That's
what
good.
could possibly go wrong?
That's brilliant, isn't it? That's a really proper team.
It is, but I still see the lack of a natural goal scorer there.
Right.
And that can be in itself a problem. But no, it's, I mean, obviously, like we saw, Verratti had a great Euros. We know what Wijnaldum brings from the middle of the park when he's in form. We know how talented the rest of them are, and obviously they've solidified now. They had a very good goalkeeper. They've got one equally as good, if not better, in Donnarumma, and a big presence there, particularly with the defensive aspect of cross balls and set pieces, where he's a more commanding keeper than Keylor Navas. Very good shot stopper, but he doesn't have the presence of Donnarumma. The only thing I can see being a problem here is keeping that
the personalities,
keeping all those personalities in harmony in the dressing room. We've never said that about PSG before.
No, we haven't, Jules. And I suppose if you were to be cynical like Mr. Burley, you would say, well, why will things change this year? You may have some more quality in there, but you still have those big personalities.
That's true. Oh, by the way, Craig, Kylian Mbappe only scored 42 goals last season for PSG. But I'm
well, to be honest, Jules, I think I'd be but one behind him in League On. To be quite honest.
You're probably true. But it's not being too cynical, Dan, as you're right. The question is fair, and also Donnarumma is a great signing, especially as a agent, if you want. But the problem is we've seen before in many clubs, and especially big clubs, that two top goalkeepers rarely works. I don't know what Pochettino will do. I'm being told that Navas, for now, I mean, Donnarumma is going away on holidays anyway, so Navas will start the season. What happens then? You bring Donnarumma in, does one play the Champions League, the other one plays the league, and someone plays the French Cup. And I don't think that's going to be easy. And that could be problems. There could be troubles there. And then you're right. And then he's keeping those egos together. He's keeping the balance of the team. He's keeping that team spirit together. I do think that Pochettino, having been there 6 months now he has a full preseason. These are the signings that he wanted. Wijnaldum, Sergio Ramos, Donnarumma, not so much Donnarumma, Hakimi certainly. So this is more the team that he wanted, shaping it the way he wants it. And I trust him, and I want to believe in him and his ability of creating that team spirit where all those egos can actually live together in the same dressing room and making this a successful season.
What happened to his tantrum?
Which one?
Pochettino.
Yeah, that's gone quiet now, isn't it?
Well, he had a strop at the end of the year, didn't he?
Yes.
So it's not just the players. I mean,
everyone's having a strop.
Even the manager can have a strop. It must be something in the air in Paris when they go there. But listen, good manager, very good manager, great side. I was sort of being flippant somewhat about League On to a sense, but the big thing for them is not that league, even though it was Lille that won it last year. Wasn't it? Yeah, but it's the Champions League. We all know that, and that could be the difference. There should be no excuses apart from that fact I said. Mbappe is a guy that floats around, and they brought a card in at some point to be the guy that would get the goals. He never quite looked fit and didn't play enough. But really, in terms of talent, wow, I mean, it's going to be hard to manage them. But on the European stage, which is where PSG are really judged, there's going to be a lot of pressure now on Pochettino because of that squad.
I think with the new signings, it in a sense, and certain exceptions which I'll get to, it becomes a little bit easier to manage because you don't have some of those stalwarts who've been there for some time and then all of a sudden find themselves starved of playing time. If you sign for PSG now, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Right.
I think the challenge with PSG this season, as it has been for the last few, is around Mbappe and him not wanting to sign a contract. We see how that goes. Neymar and who continues to be, I think, take things a little bit too lightly and is a little bit too showboaty.
He's got a new haircut, Shaq.
Well,
it's very
good for him. That being said, his performances for Brazil in the Copa America, or being a losing effort, I thought was the most mature I've seen of Neymar in quite some time. So maybe that translates to his form to PSG. But that's still a balancing act with that front three. That being said, you get the best out of that front three, natural striker or not. You've got goals.
Jules, just quickly, because Craig mentioned it, this is a silly season. We're obviously talking, speculating, hypotheticals. But there seems to be a genuine divide now between the haves, and I'm talking Chelsea, PSG, Manchester City, and the have-nots, in the sense that you look at a team like Liverpool, have had so much success over the last 2 or 3 years. They don't have that financial stability to go head-to-head, have they, with these teams in these big transfers, and that can only cause a gulf between these sides.
That's right, that's a very good point, Dan, and you can easily see the way the ownership of Chelsea, PSG and Man City is built compared to other clubs like Liverpool, for example. And even to a certain extent, it's a bit different by Manchester United, although I think they will invest heavily this summer. They already have with Jadon Sancho. And I think Rafael Varane is next and others too. But yeah, you're right. It's a very good point. It's a summer where financial fair play is non-existent. It will still be there in the future, but in a very different way. And I'm not sure how exactly what kind of intent with it, but certainly not the intent that it used to be 5 or 6 years ago. So this is the summer, though. If you're Chelsea, PSG and City, this is the summer to go for it. I don't care what Pep Guardiola says. I think he can afford a £100 million striker if he wants to. And I think if they can, they will, because they not have another opportunity like this to do it again. And certainly there will be a point where the money won't be there anymore, even for them to spend.
See, I don't agree with what you just said there.
Why?
Because you said it's the haves and the have-nots, and you pointed to Liverpool.
Yep.
I think Liverpool have the funds to spend.
They don't.
I don't think so.
They don't.
No.
I don't think they do.
Tell me why. I'll tell you why.
They don't have the cash flow.
Well, no, I'll tell you why. The ownership don't want to spend.
Okay,
Right,
but
that's the difference.
Yes.
Right, that's the difference.
But there's been no suggestion that they are going to spend, is there?
Right, you're changing tact. But you're right. No,
I understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying is...
Well, Arsenal could spend... They could match it, but obviously the ownership and the model is very different. That's fair.
Well, their model is... Liverpool's model... They did make a splash a couple of years ago, but they got the big money for Coutinho, so there was somewhat negated when they got Alisson and Van Dijk and one or two others. But now, I personally think they've got the wherewithal to go and match it, but they have a much more prudent ownership. Now, that's frustrating for the manager. We saw it last year when he wanted to go out and replace centre-halves and stuff, and there was a lot of prudency within that camp and frustration. But I do feel as a club, they have got the funds if the ownership wanted to spend, but with the new build around the stadium and the pandemic, they made a decision. Mm-hmm. And I think Klopp was quite clear in terms of what he was told. And I think there is a difference between not having the ability to spend it and not having the desire to go down a different business model route, and I think that's Liverpool.
I don't think Liverpool have that money to spend. If they want to spend, they have to raise it, either through selling players or through some financial scheme, raising bonds.
Chelsea don't have the cash. It's the owner who has the cash.
Right, the owner.
So the Fenway Sports Group and their investors, I think, if they wanted, can find the money, but they don't want to do that.
Well, fair enough. Give them some of the investors. Yes, they can find the money, but but they're not going to.
They're not willing.
No, nobody's going to match Chelsea's. If they decided they wanted Haaland, nobody's going to table a bid of 150 to challenge Chelsea. They're just not going to do it. They're going to have to try to raise it through some of the financial scheme, as I say, either selling of bonds in the future or however that works. But nobody is going to dip in their pocket and say, here you go, pay me back in 10 years' time.
No club has really the money to go and spend. It's dependent on ownership.
Yep.
You know, Chelsea Football Club all these years could not go and spend the type of money that they are. Ownership is doing that. Investment is doing that, if you want to call it that.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.